Hi, I'm Kirsten from Cox Communications, and welcome to Community Connection. This show highlights local organizations and leaders that contribute to our healthy and vibrant community. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
"1% for the Planet" created the Blue Crew for people just like you. People who want to join businesses like Honest Tea and Clean Canteen in showing their love for our big blue planet. And you can join at whatever level suits you. You may only be one person, but we only have one planet. And if we all come together, we can make one a really big number, and that can make a huge difference. Join the Blue Crew today at 1%fortheplanet.org, because blue needs you.
Hi, I'm Kirsten McLaughlin, Market Vice President for Cox Communications, and this is Community Connection. Today we have Steve Hinckley from the Wolf Museum of Exploration and Innovation, better known as MOXI.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. We're excited to be here.
Thank you for being here today. Why don't we start with you telling our viewers a little bit about MOXI?
Sure. Well, MOXI is a brand new science museum that is getting set to open at the very end of this year. We'll be at Lower State Street at 125 State. Construction is underway right now. People may have seen a lot of the scaffolding and some of the work taking place. We're going to open up a huge 17,500 square foot exhibit space that's full of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math exhibits that allow people to explore creativity. And our mission is to ignite learning through interactive experiences in science and creativity. And I think that that's what really the focus is for us. And so we're excited to bring something new and unique to Santa Barbara.
So what types of exhibits can people expect to see when they visit next year?
That's a good question, and we're trying to keep a lid on some of the things because we do want some surprises. But one of the great things that I can say is that for folks that really love hands-on, engaging exhibits, not the passive experience so much where you're kind of sitting and reading a lot of things, this absolutely begs you to get hands-on. They're fun, they're designed with play in mind, they're designed with creativity in mind, and certainly they're designed really to help people understand some very, very cool aspects of science and engineering, like sound and light and motion. But it's all done through this medium of play and hands-on exhibits.
So I know you don't want to give too much away, but maybe you can preview one of the exhibits?
All right, well, so everybody's kind of got their own favorite, right? And one of my favorites is a portion called Build It, Test It, Race It. And Build It, Test It, Race It, it's one of our largest exhibits. It'll be on the second floor in the speed track. And the Build It, Test It, Race It portion, visitors walk up, they create a car of their own design. We provide all of the parts, we give them a little bit of prompting, but really kind of let their creative ideas take over. They build their own car, place it up on a racetrack, a conveyor belt carries it up to a 9-foot height and then lowers it down, and this thing just races down a racetrack. So for people who've ever done Pinewood Derby or those kinds of things, it's very similar to that, but it's just got a little bit more meat to it. You can track the speed of the cars, you can measure the mass of the cars, you can track the force of impact when the car hits the very end of the track. So it brings the engineering and math side to this sort of fun challenge. And if you come down there, I'll race you with a car.
That sounds perfect.
It's
I
awesome.
love it. So tell us a little bit about who is involved in MOXI. I know it's been a huge community effort, bringing in folks from all corners of our great community here in Santa Barbara.
It's been a huge list of people. The project has been underway in some form or fashion for more than 25 years, and it's just now kind of coming to light as this great institution that will change the face of downtown. It will change the way that we think about math and science for a long time. We've got a fantastic board. Jill Levinson is our board chair. We've got a fantastic campaign committee that is led by Alix Mattingly and Nancy Sheldon, and then we've got a number of other folks that are spearheading exhibits, the building, the other critical portions that are kind of getting this project rolling along. And of course, it goes without saying that Noel and Dick Wolf, being the naming benefactors for the museum, have stepped up in a huge way to really provide something extraordinary for Santa Barbara.
And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Cox's commitment to MOXI. We've been building a great partnership with you all, so thank you.
Absolutely. One of the things that we've done really, spent a lot of time trying to focus on is really involving the corporate community, and Cox has stepped up in a way that I think is unique to you, but it's something that I've never seen before. It's a level of commitment that truly is unprecedented in what I've seen with science museums getting involved, whether it's the decision to support an exhibit inside the museum or to help sustain the organization long term with the internet provision. It's really fantastic.
Well, MOXI is right up our alley with science and technology,
Right.
and we're so happy to power the museum and to help bring science and engineering and technology to life for our community.
Well, it's a great story, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Cox is all about innovation, and it's all about making sure that the population stays connected. And for us, we're trying to make sure that we're not only helping to share these stories with our visitors, but really inspire that next generation of creative problem solvers. And so the story that Cox gets to tell through MOXI will help inspire a number of kids ultimately to become engineers themselves.
That's great. And that's one thing I've really loved in learning about the museum is your commitment to helping each child in our community understand where he or she can go in sciences and in engineering, no matter what they look like, no matter what their background is. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, one of the things for us is we're trying to really engage the entire audience. A lot of times science museums may focus on one particular segment or another. What we say is we're here for everybody. You know, we're trying to create truly an experience from pre-K to gray so that the youngest learners feel like there's something in the museum that's for them, but our more sophisticated, or sometimes as we call them, the more mature learners also have something that really connects for them. And also we've got a huge accessibility initiative. We are bound and determined to get everybody in that building that wants to be a part of the MOXI experience. You know, we're not trying to limit ourselves. We really want everyone to have an opportunity to come inside.
That's great. So I know we're going to be talking a lot about different aspects of MOXI, but in our final moment here, can you give some folks general information about how they can get more involved?
Sure. Well, one of the best ways is to go to the website, moxi.org, and there are a number of different ways that they can become a part of our capital campaign. We have a $25 million capital campaign currently underway. We're getting closer and closer to meeting that goal, which is fantastic, and of course Cox has been a tremendous component in getting us to that point. But there's still room to go. And one of the big parts of that campaign for us is our endowment that gives us that long-term sustainability. And so if folks want to get involved in contributing and supporting the campaign, they can do that through the website. But we're also going to be hiring, and we'll need a number of volunteers once we get open as well to make sure that we're able to serve the public. That's
great. Well, sit right there. We'll be back to talk more about MOXI.
All right.
And we'll be right back with more on MOXI. Stay tuned.
Hey, babe. So your friend needs a little help after school, huh?
Please give it back, Todd.
Here, how about you tell him no? Because I'm your only friend. Isn't your boyfriend?
He just needs help.
Are you listening to me? Seriously, you would be nothing without me. Nothing.
But he's just a friend.
What? Do you remember these pictures? Do you want to see them on the internet?
Cut. Back to one.
Don't make this real.
Take charge.
Stop the bullying.
Teen violence is bullying. Find out more about cyberbullying and take charge.
Welcome back to Community Connection. Today we're exploring MOXI, the Wolf Museum of Exploration and Innovation. We have Steve Hinckley, CEO, and Jill Levinson, Board President. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Jill, why don't we start with you? How did you get involved with MOXI?
Well, I am lucky enough to be a native of Santa Barbara. And back when I grew up in this town, they used to say it was for the newlywed and the nearly dead. There weren't a lot of family resources other than the beautiful nature that surrounds Santa Barbara. So when we'd travel, my parents used to take me to science centers and children's museums, up to San Francisco to the Exploratorium. And when I moved back to town with my family, I was waiting for a place like that to take my own children to. I have 3 kids, and we would have loved a resource like that when they were little here. When I spoke with my friends, they very much had the same idea that I did. I thought one day I'll get together with my friends and we'll build a children's museum in Santa Barbara. Lo and behold, there were people toiling away for many, many years before we had that idea. And we basically joined a board that had been working for a long time to build a children's museum in Santa Barbara. Over time, because it was a ground-swelling project and we got a lot of input from the community, we were able to morph the concept into what it is today and create something that really has never Santa Barbara's never seen anything like it.
And it's so exciting. Steve, how did you end up involved with MOXI?
Well, I was working with the Perot Museum of Nature and Science in Dallas prior to this. So I had gone through a capital campaign and a new building project there, and then saw this on the horizon. I've got family in Santa Barbara. My dad has been a resident for over 20 years. And I just reached out, really just to sort of initiate a conversation. I knew that there was a project that was happening here. I was excited to see it taking off. and made a connection with a couple of folks and started that conversation about trying to understand what they were trying to build here. And the more that I heard, the more I fell in love with it, and eventually got to meet the board, got to meet a number of people through that hiring process, and just fell more and more in love with it. And I'll tell you, there was a catalytic moment for me. The Children's Museum of Santa Barbara, which had been the project for a long time, was always something exciting for me. I thought that was really wonderful that the city was investing in trying to build that type of resource. But there was a moment, and I remember it, I looked on my smartphone one morning, October 2014, and I saw that they had changed their name to MOXI, and there was just something about that that really lit up for me. Once it really became a museum for all audiences and really focused on science and engineering, it just took off. And after that, I was like, I am going to get this job. So fortunately, I convinced them to bring me on board, and I've been here for about 1 year and 3 months, and it's just been a tremendous project to be a part of. These are incredible folks that have made this happen. It's a great community, and it's something that's really very much needed. So,
Jill, tell us a little bit more about why MOXI is so important for this community and what a resource it will be.
Well, you know, Santa Barbara has amazing life sciences, and they have beautiful nature all around us, but what they don't have is something that really focuses on science, technology, engineering, and math. Those are subjects that need a lot of help outside of what kids are getting in the schools, and for the population that's underserved in Santa Barbara, which is a lot of families and kids here, unless we bring it to this community, those kids will never have a chance to go like I did when my parents would take me to another city.
Right.
So they may never see something like this. They may never get their spark ignited unless we build it here for them in their community.
That's fantastic. So you all have been working on a pretty significant capital campaign. Do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about that?
sure. Go for it.
Yeah, we have been working away for many years on a $25 million campaign. That's to get the doors open. And it's been very silent for a long time. This past March, we announced our final and public phase at $21 million. And I'm really pleased to say that since then even, and with help from a lot of folks like you at Cox Communications and others who've been so generous in supporting the project, I'm happy to say today that we're at $22 million.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Just 3 more million to go, although that's still a lot of money. So I really want to encourage everyone to go to moxi.org and become an insider. That'll give you a lot of information about the latest happenings, the exhibits, memberships when they're available. You'll get all the latest news. And there's a big orange donate button. Of course, we want everyone to be a part of the campaign. No amount is too little. Every single dollar counts.
That's fantastic. And it's so important being a part of the community and then asking folks to come in and help out. I know, Steve, you mentioned volunteer opportunities.
Right.
And all the ways that folks can get involved with the museum.
There are so many different ways that people can connect. Of course, the campaign is our most immediate need, and that's what gets our doors open. And then also part of that is the endowment that builds us some long-term sustainability. And those are huge pieces to get us the right footing off the ground when we do open our doors. But of course, we're going to need a lot of volunteers. We're going to need a lot of community support to keep the project going beyond that. And you know, one of the things that Santa Barbara does very well is they support their nonprofits. And we're excited to be a part of that group. We're excited to bring something different. And just looking at the support that has already been given to this, we know it's going to be a tremendous success.
Well, good luck as you finish up the capital campaign. And thank you both for being here. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back shortly with more from MOXI.
Thank you.
1% for the Planet created the Blue Crew for people just like you. People who want to join businesses like Honest Tea and Clean Canteen in showing their love for our big blue planet. And you can join at whatever level suits you. You may only be one person, but we only have one planet. And if we all come together, we can make one a really big number, and that can make a huge difference. Join the Blue Crew today at 1%fortheplanet.org, because blue needs you.
Welcome back to Community Connection. As we continue to explore MOXI, the Wolf Museum of Exploration and Innovation, we now have Sergio Villa, who is on the board, and principal of Franklin Elementary School, Casey Kilgore. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So, Sergio, why don't we start with you? Tell us how you got involved with MOXI.
Well, I can't believe that it's been a little over 8 years now.
Wow.
Didn't have any kids then. But at that point, the introduction of the museum was made to me by one of the board members. And number one, it seemed like it was a great project to be a part of. But I think as I started exploring and looking at why we would need something like this in Santa Barbara, it felt like a good project to be a part of. I know for me, over the years now, I have 3 kids. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 4-month-old. And whenever we travel, we look forward to going to these types of institutions and seeing the way that they've been impacted, how they get inspired to want to play in ways that maybe in the past we didn't with sciences and technology. I think for me it's made it even more of a passion because I feel like we need something like this. And I know that I'm really excited to be a part of it, but in many cases, seeing the way the community is going to be impacted by it, I think it's really encouraging to see, and how many folks are really getting behind this project.
Right. Casey, can you tell us a little bit about what MOXI means to your students and your teachers and the school?
Just in general, our whole school district's very excited about just the partnerships that will come out of MOXI. Having students have a location where science becomes real in real life and they can see things move, and it's really different when they look on an iPad or on a screen compared to when they're able to get their hands dirty and really be able to see how it's connected. You know, the change to transfer into Common Core and with the NGSS standards, having a location in our own city and making sure that all kids can access it and access it during the school year with their teacher, access it with their parents in the summer is really exciting to make sure that we have that within our own backyard.
So tell our viewers a little bit more about some of the programs and collaborations between MOXI and the schools.
Well, I know that over the last 5-6 years, you know, this project, once it started, the first thing we did is we went to the local agencies, we went to the educators. Before we even went to get funding for the project, we felt that we needed to do some homework and figure out what does this community need, and how do we create something that we know it's going to deliver on what the need is, and not what we thought at that point is what we felt maybe should have been established here in Santa Barbara. And so we know that a lot of the local agencies, what we heard from them is, you know, we need a place where our kids are inspired and have a safe venue where they can learn to play and grow in a way that maybe wasn't happening. I think what we also heard from a lot of educators, and you can attest to this, is we are so limited. And over the years, the programs that some of the teachers can implement have dwindled when it comes to the sciences. And the research that we kept seeing is that this country, particularly more and more, the sciences became kind of, I don't want to say the back burner, but in the standards where we ranked, kept getting below where we wanted to. Just last year, I think I saw a study from PISA, which is the Program International for Student Assessment, indicated that the science and technology ended about 50. We were right in the middle of the pack. So for me, I know that working with our educators and agencies, prior to this, seeing that it's actually coming into fruition now, we felt that it was really important. So some of the programs that we felt, definitely collaborating with the teachers, collaborating with the educators so that we can enhance what they're doing at the school, in the school level. But I think, again, for whether it's having after-school programs so that it's a daily thing and it's not something that we just do on spring break or in summer, but really throughout the year so that we have these agencies that can benefit from it, whether it's the Boys and Girls or a lot of others programs here and agencies here in Santa Barbara that we can collaborate with.
That's great. Casey, anything to add?
I think for kids, I first became involved when I had a 2-year-old. Now she's 10.
Yeah.
It's about the same timeline. And so maybe in the beginning it was like selfish. Like, I've got a 2-year-old and I saw everything lined up plans. And now to see it really as a school principal, to see how it'll equalize our community as well and make sure that all kids have a similar experience and opportunities, and to have a location to be able to have it within our own city limits, but also as you know, school and budgeting, everything seems to dwindle, to have a location so close to home with such a high quality level of interactions between technology and science is a real indicator of that we're really moving a far way within our communities.
Well, and particularly as careers in education, science, technology, engineering, et cetera, become more and more important in our economy, it's just amazing what MOXI will be able to bring to our students.
And something else, if I can add to that, I know for me as a kid, I grew up in South Central LA. And there were probably a lot of museums or institutions like Santa Barbara, like this one that we're trying to set up here in Santa Barbara. But I know for me, I never necessarily felt that the access was there in a way that made me feel welcomed. Number one, maybe financially couldn't afford it at times. And so I grew up genuinely wanting to go into the sciences. Maybe felt that it wasn't a route because the inspiration wasn't there. That trigger wasn't done at an early age that led me to say, maybe how can I continue to pursue this? So there are a lot of individuals that think that science, engineering, technology, and math, that you're going to go into the sciences, that you're going to go into those areas. But research, again, has shown from a business perspective that many of our Fortune 500 company CEOs have that background. And where they maybe found a way to study it in some capacity, but have it as a background because it helps you through the critical thinking, the problem solving, a lot of things that as a business and as an entrepreneur you should have. And so I think one of the things as we continue to see a big need from an economic standpoint, I think it's really important that we let our community here in Santa Barbara know that this isn't going to be the place just for those that are, science geeks like ourselves that want to go to it. It's going to be a place that's going to be exciting for a grandfather, a father, a son, to find a way to play together and learn. But that can help that individual to do great things later on, and it has nothing to do with the sciences. But it's because it's helped them to find a way to think outside the box. And I think that's something that we're really genuinely trying to do. And it's exciting because as we're seeing the exhibits being designed and drawn up, I can't wait to go. And one of the programs that I know myself I'm looking forward to is having the 21 and over days, cocktail evenings, because I think our community is going to see that this is not just a place for young kids to get excited about. It's going to be a place that anyone can really wrap their arms around.
Right. And what a great way to wrap up our segment. Thank you both for being here today and for sharing MOXI with us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Stay tuned for more about MOXI on Community Connection.
1% for the Planet created the Blue Crew for people just like you. People who want to join businesses like Honest Tea and Clean Canteen in showing their love for our big blue planet. And you can join at whatever level suits you. You may only be one person, but we only have one planet. And if we all come together, we can make one a really big number, and that can make a huge difference. Join the Blue Crew today at 1%fortheplanet.org, because blue needs you.
Welcome back to Community Connection. Today we continue to explore MOXI, the Wolf Museum of Exploration and Innovation. We're back with Steve and Jill. Thank you again for being here.
Yep,
Sure.
So we just heard a little bit about MOXI's collaboration with the schools here in the community, but I know you're working on many collaborations. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Sure. We've spent many years planning the museum and getting it to this stage, and over that time we've met with all different constituents in town. It's really important to us that this is a museum by the community for the community. Maybe you want to talk about some of the partnerships we have.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, we are, at the end of the day, a community responsive organization. We're here to meet the needs of what people want. But part of what we're doing in delivering our message of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and how great it is to get inspired by this and to ultimately, hopefully, for young kids, generate an enthusiasm that translates into a career or a passion for this. There are so many incredible partners in Santa Barbara. Pound for pound, it is an innovative and technological dynamo, and we can bring those resources to bear inside the museum. So we've got partnerships with UCSB, the Media Arts and Technology program out there, partnerships with the schools, partnerships with companies. Of course, we'll love for Cox to come and tell their story inside the museum, because what you're doing is hugely important to the world of science and engineering. So it's about looking around at who those folks are that can help us tell great stories, and then also collaborating with other great science organizations here and Boys and Girls Clubs, Girls Inc., to make sure that we are hitting all sides of the object there to make sure that we're driving that steam engine forward, as we call it, the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math piece.
Right, that's great. It'll be so exciting to see how those partnerships evolve.
It's honestly the most fun
Absolutely.
part. It's a favorite part of my job, is to get out, meet who's here, see what they're doing, and find a way to incorporate that into our story.
Right. So tell us what's coming up next for MOXI.
Well, we've got a few things on our plate. Aside from the campaign, which of course is rolling along, we've got our building under construction, and that should be wrapping up sometime, hopefully in the next couple of months. We'll move in, and then the exhibits begin arriving, and that becomes a very exciting time for us, because all of these things that we've been talking about and planning for years start really appearing, and then it's real. And then starting to kind of understand how we can begin letting people into the museum to get a sneak peek, but also really understand what is that capacity for us. You know, how many people can we fit in a building? Some of those sort of humdrum things about how we operate, but very, very important, so that when we do finally open the doors, that we open it with a big splash and everything's perfect from the get-go. So that's the big planning phase that we're in right now. First part is getting that building done, get the campaign done, so that we can get ready to open.
So for people interested in knowing more as it happens, you'll be able to get the first up-to-date information if you go to moxi.org. We'll always have it updated with what we're doing.
Perfect, thank you. And Jill, earlier Steve told us about one of his favorite exhibits, so now it's your turn.
Okay.
What's your favorite exhibit?
What's a little like asking me to pick my favorite child, but you know, I love what we call the handprint globe. It's the very first thing you see when you enter the museum. It's a huge sphere that's suspended from the ceiling in the entryway, and it takes the thermal imprint of people's hands and puts them up on the globe and creates an ever-changing community art piece, really. It's really the epitome of where art meets science. It's a gorgeous art piece that's created by the science of thermal imaging from people's hands. It also tells kids, this is a place where you put your hands on things. This is not a museum where you stand back and be quiet. You get involved and you become part of the space.
What a great message. That's so neat.
Yeah.
So we've talked some, but remind our viewers how they can get more involved and how they can help MOXI.
Well, again, it's going to the website and that MOXI Insider, signing up to be an insider. They get all kinds of alerts. They get sneak peeks of the different exhibit halls. We're gradually telling a little bit of that story, not unveiling the whole thing, but we're telling a little bit of what exhibits are coming periodically over the next few months. And it's really just the best way to stay connected with us, to help understand how they can become involved either in the campaign, maybe as a volunteer, or really just helping to get the excitement and the awareness out about what MOXI is and what it's going to be providing.
Well, it's been so wonderful learning so much about MOXI today. And as you all know, we are so proud here at Cox to be a big part of this project. It's just so fantastic for the community.
We're thrilled to be working with you.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, any final thoughts from each of you for our viewers? Jill, do you want to start?
Just, I can't wait to get those doors open. Please become a part of things. Go to the website. We take people on tours. We'll be having testing days for the exhibits as things get put in the building. We'll be capacity testing the space. It's going to be an incredible venue for parties and events. So come to the website, check it all out, become an insider, press that donate button, be a part of it.
How about you, Steve?
I agree. Get involved is the biggest message. I mean, there's so many different ways that people can participate, but let's make this a reality and let's bring it to being. And then the other part too is just a reminder that this isn't just a museum for children. It's going to be a great place for families with kids, no question. But at the end of the day, this has got a little bit of something for everybody, and I think the adults will be a little bit surprised as to what they'll find inside.
Well, I'm so excited, and thank you both so much for being here today and sharing the MOXI story with us.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
And thank you. Until next time, this is Community Connection. Communications wants to keep you informed.
Largest free green festival out there.
Learn how to conserve more water.
It's almost a miracle that happens every day.
We highlight local organizations and leaders that contribute to our healthy and vibrant community. So stay informed with Community Connection.